Hi, I'm Happy Jones and welcome to my channel. I'm 87 years old, and if I could go back in time, there are 4 things that I wish I had known much sooner. It saved me much heartache, helped me grow much faster, and brought more peace into my life sooner. And the first of those, you have to learn to let go. There is so much in life you have to learn to let go. You cannot control other adults. You can only control yourself. You can't control your adult children if they're going to marry somebody you think is bad for them, or if they're going to invest money. It's really none of your business after a certain point. But I still think that parents have the right to express their opinion. So set your child down. To us, they're still our child. Set your child down and tell them that once they're married, you're not going to say anything. You're going to accept it totally, and you're going to not say anything more after today. You're just going to express your opinion today, and that you think this is a bad mistake that you're making, but you're not going to interfere in their life, and you just wanted to tell your opinion today, and you're not going to bring it up again unless your daughter wants to bring it up herself. And that's the way you would handle with your adult children. And the money is none of your business unless they're using your money. And then they've given up the right to it. You can't control, if you're still working, you can't control who your boss votes for. You can't control who your boss promotes. And you can't control who your friend votes for. You can only control you. And you don't hold grudges. How many people do you know that collect grudges? This family relative has done this to them. This person has done that to them. And they collect them and hang on to them and resent it forever. And I'll tell you, if you're going to collect grudges like that, you're going to live a very unhappy life. You have to learn to let grudges go. If somebody is a toxic personality in your life, get rid of them. Don't have them be a friend anymore, because they're not a friend if they're bringing you down all the time. And then let it go. Let a lot of things go. You can't control someone who doesn't want to live with you anymore. If your wife or spouse has asked for a divorce after many years, you can't control them. And sometimes you have to let go of them. And you have to learn to let go of a lot of things in your life. And once you do that, you're going to have a lot more peace and prosperity in your life. And the second thing I would say that I would like to know is to stay curious your whole life. Be curious about everything, how it works, how this does, how that does. Helping others. Do you like to help others? The world is a great, big place. And it has fascinating amount of things out there that you can be interested in and you can be involved in. And try to learn something new each year. Now this year I learned how to start a YouTube channel, and it was a big learning curve for somebody my age, because I had to learn how to edit and how to photograph. I'm still learning, let's put it that way. I'm still learning a lot. But it doesn't have to be big or complicated. It could be something as simple as pumping your own gas. Now, in today's world, everybody pumps their gas. But when I started it, not everybody was doing it at that time. And it's a small thing, but I got more out of that. And I think about it often. Every time I go to pump gas, I think about it a lot. that I was so grateful that I learned that. And it was a simple thing to learn. But that's what I mean. Be curious about everything and keep learning, because you not only have to keep your body going, but you have to keep your mind going. And that makes you a more interesting person, that you have things like that in your life. And this may sound strange to someone has a happy marriage and has been married a long time and expects to be married a long time. But you have to learn how to be alone. Because if you can't be happy alone, you're not going to be happy with somebody in your life. You have to learn how to be happy alone. Because the odds are someday, if you're a woman especially, the odds are someday you are going to be alone. Most women outlive their husbands, and so they sort of know they're going to be alone someday. And many of you are alone. You've been alone maybe your whole life. And there are trade-offs. No one situation is perfect. And if you've been alone your whole life and you think being married is the answer, and then you get married and find out it has its own set of problems, you're going to be in for a big shock. Everything has its own problems and its own benefits, and you trade off some of those when you go one day the other. And so learn to save some of your independence while you're married, and learn some things that you might not learn about the money your husband has or your wife has, because nowadays most people work. And most women have more independence because of that too. I have to be careful to remember that it's a little different in the generations coming up than the generations that I come from. Go to a movie by yourself once in a while and just experience it, because you're going to have to learn, if you're living alone, how to go movie by yourself and how to enjoy it by yourself, and how to go out and eat by yourself and enjoy it. And in fact, I prefer it now, because eating is when I get my chance to read, and I'm a really big reader, and I could read all day long but there's a little matter of real life that calls you. And but if you're an extrovert and are outgoing, then being alone, you're going to be more unhappy than a person that is like me, that is an introvert. And I had 2 marriages. My second one was very good, and I had 18 wonderful years with him. And then he died, and I've been alone ever since. I had a short first marriage with 13 years in between, and during those 13 years, I learned how to live alone. I had learned how to be alone young, but I learned more how to be alone as an adult and how to take care of things. So I was prepared in a way for living alone these last 30 years. 30-some years that my husband passed away, because he was only 50 when he passed away. If you're an extrovert, you're going to be more unhappy being alone than someone like me. So I really can't tell you how to go out and find somebody else from my own experience. But I can tell you how my friend Ann did it. And her husband had died, and she had a relationship for a while, and it didn't work out. But she wanted to get married again, and she knew this. She knew that she wanted to get married again. So she set out a plan, and she went to she found all kinds of places that had dances for single people, and they were people looking to find other people for whatever reason. And this went on for a couple years, and she told her friends, hey, I'm looking to get married again. If you know a man at my age has similar interests that you think I would be interested in, introduce me. And if anyone comes along in your life. And that's how eventually she met someone and had a big romance with him, and they got married again. And they've been married quite a few years now. So think of that if you're an extrovert, that if you really need to be with somebody, then you go out and put yourself in a place where you're going to be meeting people. Now, the fourth and last truth, and there's more than the four I'm giving you here. There's much more than that. But these are the ones that I'm thinking of. And that is, in fact, this is the one that I really wish I had known much earlier. And I did get my lesson earlier, but I didn't recognize that it was a lesson for me. And that is, everything happens for a reason. Every person who comes into your life comes in your life for a reason. And when it's a time for them to leave, they leave. Either willingly or they pass away. And you don't know why that happens, but that's God's plan for you. And if I've had to live 87 years to really, really recognize in my life that everything has happened for a reason. Starting, and I had my first lesson when I was 16. I had a romance in high school, my last year in high school, and he was about 3 or 4 years older than I was. He was out of high school. And I thought we had this grand romance, and I was really crazy over him, and I would fantasize of him asking me to marry him and the ring we would have, and I wanted it to be a solitaire. And we're dating steadily, and then he stopped calling for 2 weeks. And now the first week I didn't think too much of it. I thought maybe he was sick or something. And then after the second week I got a little concerned. And then into my classroom comes the girl that I know very well, very nice lady, young girl. And she was also on her last year, and she's got this solitaire, and she's engaged to him. And how he did this, that means in order for him to have become, he didn't just start going out with her 2 weeks ago and get engaged. That's impossible. I mean, he wasn't that crazy a person. So that means he was going out with both of us and decided he wanted to marry her and not me. And I was crushed. I was just so heartbroken. And a few years later, I had learned to adjust to it. You have to learn to adjust to these things in life. And I wanted to tell you, a few years after, I found out that he was a wife beater, and he was slapping around his wife and beating her up. So I was too stupid then to learn the lesson still. I thought, thank God I didn't marry him, but I didn't learn the lesson that everything happens for a reason. And that's why he broke up with me, because I would not have put up with that. I put up with a lot and was at that time in my life more passive type of aggressive, passive type of person. But I think he sensed in me that I wouldn't have taken beatings. I might have had one, and if he did it again, I wouldn't have put up with that. And that's been the story of my life. Everything that has happened that has been bad for me eventually turns out to be better or different. My husband died, and I have a good life now. I had a good life with him. It's just different. And I've learned now that everything happens for a reason. And it was time for him to go. And that's something that we have to learn to live with, too. So that's about it. If this resonates with you, I'd love it if you would comment or like or subscribe. And let's keep growing at any age. And bye.